You're listening to The Rich Life Revolution with me, Michelle Cooper. My mission is to empower you to step into your next level of wealthy. You'll hear all the deets, a little bit of inspiration, and real life takeaways so that you can create your own rich life revolution. Let's dig in. So today in this solo episode, we're going to talk about your money, your problems. What I know to be true is that more money won't solve all your problems. It absolutely will not solve all your financial problems. A lot of people think the answer to their problems is actually just creating more money, making more money, earning more money. This episode is designed for the entrepreneur. We're going to talk about how some people believe that the answer to their problems is just to make more money. That simply isn't true. So let's get into it. You see, the thing is, I have worked with hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs, and so many of them think that their problem is the revenue. Their problem is the top line of their financial statements. When we say top line in the finance world, we're talking about revenue. We're talking about income, right? So they think the problem is the top line. So how do you solve that problem? Well, you need to make more money. You need to make more of that top line, more of that revenue, because there's not enough of it. It seems to make sense. But the problem is usually not the top line, because I have seen this over and over again. You can have tons of money, lots of money, an overwhelming amount of money coming in. But the real problem is the bottom line. It's the profit. It doesn't really matter how much revenue you have. At every stage of your business, you must be profitable. Every single stage. Sales will not solve everything that's a problem in your business. Profitable sales will solve your financial problems. So what do I mean by profitable sales? I mean sales of products and services that contribute to a profit in your business. We can get really good as entrepreneurs in making money, but if we don't know how to manage that money, we will run into the same problems over and over again. So I'm going to share with you my top tips for managing the money in your business. This is real life. I'm going to give you all the goods. I'm going to give it to you straight. No fussing around, no fluffy business. Here's the problem. The first thing, which might be a little surprising, and if you've heard me speak before, you'll know, what I believe is that our businesses don't create wealth. A lot of people get into business for themselves because they're like, I want financial freedom. I promise you that creating a business does not create freedom. If anything, it creates less freedom for a certain amount of time, for sure. You know, it becomes, for many people, an obsession. It absolutely does not create wealth. Okay, your business creates cash flow, and you can use that cash flow to create wealth over time by optimizing and leveraging assets. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that again just so you get it. Okay, your business does not create wealth, it creates cash flow. And you can use that cash flow to create wealth over time by optimizing and leveraging assets. So what do I mean by that? Well, your business, your profitable business, your profitable sales will create excess money. That's the profit. You can take that money and you can do things with it like invest, like buy other businesses, like play the stock market, like buy property. There's all kinds of things we can do with that money. And by optimizing and leveraging our assets, that's where we create long-term wealth. Because really, your business was created to solve a problem. That's why you created it. You saw a problem in the marketplace. You were like, I have the solution to that. That's what your business does. Now, I'm all for a business being your purpose and your mission in life. Absolutely. We want to get that energy behind it. But it's got to solve a problem. Solving that problem creates an impact in the world. That impact will create money. Money follows service and it follows value. But what I want you to consider, if you're an entrepreneur, are you clear on the problem that you're solving? And is it actually a problem that people will pay to solve? Okay. It's no good to create a business for something that people don't consider a problem or people don't want to pay to solve. You might think it's a problem. You might be like, I got the best whiz bang doodle out there to solve this problem. But if it's not something people really consider a problem, you've got a really hard sell on your hands. So that's the first piece. When we talk about creating wealth, we talk about increasing cash flow, and we talk about having a successful business, right? Your business solves a problem. It does not create wealth, it creates cash flow. You can use that cash flow to create wealth over time by optimizing and leveraging assets. Make sure you have a problem that you are clear on and people want to pay to solve it. So let's talk about investing. Some people say, and I am not a financial advisor, I have the most amazing financial advisor ever. So if you need a guy, I got a guy. But a lot of my clients over the years have said, like, I want to invest. When's the right time? The market's up, the market's down. What do I do? Well, it's like the same thing as planting a tree. When's the best time to plant a tree? Now. When's the best time? Well, the best time was yesterday, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. The next best time is now. Okay, so the time to invest is now. Doesn't matter if you don't have a gazillion dollars to invest. You can start with 10 bucks, 20 bucks, 50 bucks, 100 bucks. Doesn't matter. Just get started now, today. The time to create your wealth machine, investments are part of your wealth machine, is now. It doesn't have to wait, like I said, until you have some big chunk of money. It can be a small little dribble of money for the time being, but just get started. How do you get started? Well, your first step might be to learn something. It might be to connect with someone like a financial advisor. It might be to open a savings account. You're not going to, like, a savings account isn't investing, but it's a place to park some money maybe until you decide where you're going to put it, right? Get started now. Reach out, get referrals, talk to people, interview financial advisors, go to your bank, talk to them. Like, there's all kinds of things you do. Buy a course. You want to play the market? I bought a course called Invest Diva. Like, I wanted to learn how to do this. So just get started. Okay. So now I want you to consider why you're growing a business. Okay. Are you growing your business to fill some kind of gap in your worth, in your life, in your meaning, right? Is it an ego thing? Like, that person has $1 million business. I need $1 million business. A lot of times I have clients who are like, I want to scale. I'm scaling my business. I'm growing. I'm doubling. I've got a $10,000 a month business, but I'm going to make it a $100,000 a month business by like next month. Why? Is the question I always ask. What does that mean to you? Because growth often requires different or sometimes additional resources. I can promise you that I actually made more money personally when my business was around the $350,000 mark than I do now, where it's over $1 million. $1 million business requires support. It's not a solo endeavor. You have to pay for that support. And if you want good support by like really A-game players, you're going to have to pay them well. You're going to have to treat them well. You can very easily have a highly profitable business with a lower revenue number. Growth is not always in your best interest. So don't do it because of something else, somebody else's opinion, somebody else's goals. Somebody said you should do this. Somebody said there's this potential. Or you think that by scaling your business, growing $1 million business, 7-figure, blah, all this stuff is going to solve all your problems. It isn't. Remember, more money won't solve your financial problems. So building wealth takes time. This is not an overnight endeavor. There's this period while you're building wealth in your wealth creating machine through optimizing and leveraging your assets where you may not experience a significant gain. You might actually experience a loss. Usually the gains are small. And in the financial world, that's called the flat line, right? It's this period of time where we just keep plugging money in and we're not really seeing the big wins. But you got to go the distance. You got to give it time. Money needs momentum. I'm going to repeat that. Money needs momentum. It needs time. It needs time to build the speed. It's like a river. If you aren't investing money right now, you're actually losing money, mostly due to inflation. So every day your money is worth less because the cost of living is going up, the inflation rate is going up. So if you aren't investing some of your money right now, you're losing money. Any money that is just sitting in the bank is losing money, okay? It's losing value. Just be aware of that. One of the biggest tips I share with people that prevents them from having the wealth that they desire is that they don't look at the numbers. They don't look at the details behind the numbers. They don't know where their money's coming from. They don't know when it's coming from, wherever it's coming, and they don't know where it's going to. And the kind of nitty-gritty details of where that expense is going. They also don't consider what value that expense creates. So the biggest cost in any business is going to be your team. It's going to be people. They are your biggest asset and they're your worst nightmare. People will pay for help. Business owners will pay for help when they feel overwhelmed in their business. Maybe the business is growing, there's too much to do, they don't have enough time to do everything, they don't know how to do some things, they might be in a scaling mode where there's more clients than they can handle and they need fulfillment people. They might need back office people to keep all the bits and pieces running of the business. So when business owners feel overwhelmed by that, they will often hire, and they often will, hiring from a place of overwhelm actually is hiring from a lack mentality. It's hiring from there's not enough time, I don't have enough skills. Like, even though that might be true, there might not be enough time for them to get everything done. It creates a desperation energy. And then what I see over and over again with hundreds of people I've worked with is that they pay an exorbitant amount of money for things that they should not be paying that much money for. Like, there's a market rate, and I believe in paying people well. But what I have seen is VAs getting paid $100 an hour. I've seen people, graphic designers, getting paid $300 an hour because the business owner is so desperate to get this thing done. They will basically pay whatever the asking rate is. And there's a movement out there of just increase your price. Oh, you're at your capacity, double your price now. Oh, you're over capacity, 10x your price. Add a zero to your price. Like, I believe in fair compensation, absolutely. However, there's people out there who've gone to school for many years, experts in their field, and they're making less money than somebody who is sitting at home creating a funnel. Now, like I said, I'm all for people getting paid fairly and also treating people fairly. But as a business owner, you need to look at what you're paying for the value that's being provided. Absolutely, we do not want the cheapest option. Okay, here's the thing. When somebody says to me, hey, Michelle, I'm looking for the cheapest option in this thing. Do you know anybody? Or, hey, Michelle, I'm looking for the cheapest option in taxes. Like I need to get my taxes in, but I need the cheapest option there is. I laugh, to be honest, because I equate it to like there's these important things we have to do in our business to keep it running and legal and in compliance and operating. And why would you want the cheapest option? That's like saying, I'm up in court for murder and I'd like the cheapest lawyer and I want to get the best result. Like I want to get off on this thing. Or I need my appendix out, but give me the cheapest surgeon that there is. These are places that you should not be looking for the cheapest option. You want to get high value. You want to get somebody who's a good person to be around, right? You want to get somebody who's committed and delivers. But let's take the language of the cheapest option out of our vocabulary. No one needs the cheapest option of anything. So let's consider how much your time is worth. Because when we consider how much our time is worth, or we decide on the minimum value of our time, we can then look at where our dollars are best spent. So a friend of mine recently said to me, I am not doing anything for less than $250 an hour. Now, this is somebody who's a highly qualified accountant, very knowledgeable, very skilled, went to school for many years, and $250 an hour is a fair, that's a smoking deal for her expertise. So we can decide on what that is. We might want to look, I wonder what my time is worth. Well, how much do I want to make? And how many hours do I want to work? We can do the math on that, right? If I want to make $100,000 and I want to work 1,000 hours in a year, then I need to charge $100 an hour, right? It's simple math. So when you consider how much your time is worth and you're looking at where your dollars are best spent, one of the questions to ask yourself is this a strategic expense? Because you want to be making strategic financial decisions. So here's some considerations when we're thinking about strategic expenses. Does it create efficiency in the business? Basically, does it give you back your time? Does it get your product or your service to your client faster? Does it get it to the marketplace faster? Does it drive additional sales? Is it one of the key things we have to have in our business to keep our business running and legal and in compliance? So those are things like bookkeeping, accounting, taxes, legal, sales tax, computers, some software, maybe office space. Like it actually keeps the cogs in the wheel moving along. And then I would ask yourself, did we know about this expense before we made the expenditure, right? Did we know this was coming? Or is this a surprise thing? Because if it was a surprise thing, we might want to look at why it was a surprise thing. Did I not expect this? Like, oh, I got a $100,000 tax bill. Your tax bill should never be a surprise. So what's going on there? Were you not looking at this? Were you not looking at your numbers? Were you not meeting with your accountant? Like, let's get clear on the situation. And it's okay. If that's your situation, you weren't paying attention, you weren't looking, you didn't know, that's okay, but we can take that information and learn from that for the future. So when we look at these strategic expenses, we want to know the purpose of the expense and the expectation on the other side of it so that we can evaluate our buying decisions. So what does that look like in real life? Well, I'm going to hire this person. I'm going to pay $2,000 a month for her services. She's going to build me this funnel, which is going to get my course to the marketplace faster and easier. My expectation is that this is an investment in my business. It's going to take 3 weeks to do. It'll be live and I'll be creating money from it on the 4th week. And my goal is 10 sales. If we do that for our expenses, then we can measure, we can evaluate those buying decisions. Was that a good expense? What was it like to work with that person? Is this something I should be doing more of? Did this work? How much did it cost? Were there overages? All of that. These are ways to evaluate our buying decisions. If you're buying back time, I want you to consider what you're doing with that time. Because if you're spending money to buy back your time, that time should be used to grow your revenue. So that might mean you're on sales calls, you're networking, you're building relationships, you're speaking, you're promoting. Somehow you are making more money. You are growing the revenue in the business. That's the reason to buy back your time. Hiring people to fulfill on your services can actually put a lot of pressure on you to increase the sales in the business, to increase the revenue. So this can be a situation that you need to carefully navigate. It's definitely not the first hire in your business. So if you're a service-based business and you are max capacity doing what you do with your clients, and you think, oh, I'm just going to hire another me, that's going to cost you a lot of money. The best thing to do in that situation, that scenario, you are maxed on your time. The best thing to do is to actually hire some admin support. Free up your admin time. Admin time is cheaper. It's easier for somebody to do. There's a lot of risk in hiring somebody to fulfill on your services and putting them in front of your client. It takes a lot of training, it takes a lot of relationship building, and it can be very risky. I have learned the hard way from this. That is how I originally built my business until I realized that, oh, my clients actually want to work with me. They don't want to work with Julie over there. And I haven't even had time to train Julie on how I do things. So when that failed because I lost clients, a coach said to me, you actually need to hire some admin support, Michelle. Free up your admin time. So that's one of the first things I did. So I hired admin support. And as we maxed out on admin support, then we started hiring people to do some of the fulfillment. But I was still always the client-facing person. So here I want to talk a little bit about this energy of cutting costs. I've worked with a lot of clients whose businesses, when they come to work with me, are not profitable. And they're like, well, work your magic, Michelle, slash the expenses. It is not about cutting costs. It is not about slashing expenses. It may be about aligning expenses. There may be excess expenses or duplicate expenses or unnecessary expenses. But it's not about slashing costs or cutting costs or, eliminating things. What we want to do is focus on cutting energy. So we want our energy to be clear with our money. We want it to be in alignment. This is where we create a conscious spending plan. So removing this concept of cutting costs, slashing expenses, that's very reactionary. It's very survival mode. It's very lack and fear and scarcity. When we talk about focusing energy, we're talking about simplifying your business model. We're talking about aligning your expenses, like evaluating them. Is this a useful expense? Does it buy back my time? Does it create efficiency? Does it get my product and service to the marketplace faster? All of these things are important when we consider expenses. Simplifying our business model also means that we look at how many people we have on our team, because our team is the biggest expense in our business. So how many people do we have? Have we created a complex model? Do we have like layers of management and reporting and like approval? because it doesn't need to be complex. What happens in business, well, in life in general, is our brain goes to this place of complexity because then there's a good chance that we won't do the things we desire to do because our brain's trying to keep us where we're at because that's the known. The complexity is that big, huge boulder between where we are and where we want to go. And your business doesn't have to be complex. You'll need really good people. You need to pay them well. You need to treat them well. They need to have autonomy. They need to be self-led. They need to have a very narrow focus and doing only what moves us towards the goal. Only what moves us towards the goal, faster even. So don't put in layers of management. We want self-led, autonomous, A-game players who show up, they're in on your mission, they love what you do, they're raving fans, and they're going to work for you. They're going to work well. They're committed. They don't need hand-holding. A-game players doing what they do incredibly well are worth the money that you will pay them. I have many A-game players on my team. In fact, I have one who is a whiz at technology. She gets paid higher than a lot of other people. But what I know is that she gets the job done. She doesn't need a manager. She over-delivers. She thinks about the wellness and the profitability of the company. She thinks strategically, and she's fast. So in the end, it probably cost me less than if I were to hire offshore support or something like that. So those are my top tips. I hope you enjoyed them. I'll give you a quick little recap here so that we're clear on what these are. Remember, your business doesn't create wealth, it creates cash flow. You can use that cash flow to create wealth over time by optimizing and leveraging your assets. The best time to invest, to build your wealth as part of your wealth generating machine is now. Take one step now towards creating your wealth machine. Don't feel pressure to just grow a business because that's what everybody's doing. Create the business that suits you, not the business that suits Instagram. Building wealth takes time. Over time, your cash will create momentum. Looking at your numbers in detail and knowing where your money is coming from and where it's going is one of the biggest keys to building your wealth. The biggest cost in your business will be your team. We want to pay our team well and treat them well, but don't hire from a place of overwhelm. Decide how much your time is worth and where your dollars are best spent. Asking yourself, is this a strategic expense? Because you want to be making strategic money decisions. Your first hire should not be somebody who fulfills on your services. It should be an admin role. And instead of cutting costs, let's simplify, let's cut the energy and the movement around the business, have people narrow in their focus, doing what they do so that we move towards the goal faster.
Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you got at least one gold nugget today. Be sure to grab your copy of the Rich Life Revolution workbook to help you set the foundation for your next level of wealthy. Get it now at richliferevolution.ca, and I'll see you later.